Shania Twain, 60, is opening out like never before. The country pop legend acknowledged what fans thought for decades after decades of silence. She never completely recounted her tale behind the dazzling lights, sold-out tours, and record-breaking hits. Discover the untold story behind her astonishing confession. A childhood of frigid evenings and empty meals. The story of Shania Twain began in obscurity. In Windsor, Ontario, Canada, she was born Eileen Regina Edwards on August 28, 1965. Life became harder when her parents divorced when she was 2. Mother Sharon struggled to raise her children alone. Family finances were always tight, and many evenings they wondered how they would get through the week. Sharon married Northern Ontario Ojibwe Jerry Twain years later. Eileen and her sisters became Twain after his adoption. Shania Twain was her subsequent name. The family moved to rugged mining town Timmins. They had long, bitter winters with temperatures below freezing. The house was small and drafty. Due to unpaid debts, the electricity was often shut off. Sometimes there wasn't enough food, so kids went to bed hungry. Shania later described how hunger made her stomach hurt and how her mother stretched what they had. They subsisted on the land. Jerry hunted moose and fished local lakes and rivers. Sometimes, dinner was mustard spread toast. It was all they had, not because they enjoyed it. To avoid delinquent rent and expenses, the family moved numerous times a year when things got tough. It was too expensive to have stability. Sharon never gave up on her daughter's potential despite these challenges. Shania's vocal talent was obvious to her. At 3, she sang around the home. Her mother wanted to help her develop that gift. Sharon saved just enough for gas to bring her daughter to little talent events in adjacent towns, often hundreds of miles away, despite their poverty. They couldn't afford good clothes or instruments, but Sharon trusted her daughter's voice and dedication. Long drives across icy northern highways were more than just performance trips. They taught sacrifice and love. Shania witnessed her mother's sacrifice for her aspirations. It made her responsible and driven. She learned early that success is hard. It takes hard work and perseverance, even when life seems unattainable. Young Shania dreamed through frigid nights and empty plates. Her humble childhood gave her strength. It molded the woman who would sing her heart out, using all suffering as fuel. People didn't realize this Timmins girl was only getting begun. 8-year-old bar singer. By age 8, Shania Twain had transformed her childhood into a career. She sang late into the night in smoky clubs while other kids slept or played. Sharon, her mother, took her to Timmins and adjacent bars to perform for money. Her $20 a night salary helped buy groceries or pay bills. It was survival, not just music. These bars were tough. They were full with inebriated men, loud shouting, and cigarette smoke. The environment was unsafe for girls. Shania was often the sole child, and others mistreated her. Some men tried to touch or disturb her as she sang, she said. To conceal her expanding body and escape attention, she started wearing layers, sometimes 2 or 3 bras. She did it to feel safer in a place she shouldn't have been. Shania kept performing despite the fear. She intended to aid her mother and her family with the money. By age 10, she had performed over 100 bar shows. The village knew her as the little kid with a huge voice. Her late nights at shows often ended with her getting home a few hours before school. She continued despite exhaustion since it was her duty. Music was her only escape from reality. She could temporarily ignore the cold house, empty kitchen, and home tension while she sang. About the same age, she started writing songs. Mama Won't You Come Out to Play, her debut song, expressed her anguish and concern for her mother's emotional pain. Write songs to absorb what she couldn't say. A child with many responsibilities found solace there. Twain family life was hard and frightening behind closed doors. Her stepfather, Jerry Twain, was abusive and ruled their life. Sometimes he beat Sharon in front of the kids. Violence was common. They did it daily. Shania and her siblings lived in fear of what would trigger Daddy. Depression made Sharon's situation worse. Shania had to care for her siblings when she couldn't get out of bed. She was responsible for everyone's safety from a young age. She learned to remain quiet, move carefully, and read situations before speaking. Shania was 10 when something terrible happened in 1975. Jerry beat Sharon so violently that Shania feared her mother was dead during one of his rages. Shania threw a chair at Jerry to protect herself. He punched her in the face. She stood her ground as a child. Her life darkened more that year. Jerry touched her inappropriately. She hid it for years, ashamed and terrified. Abuse caused physical and emotional scars. Early on, she learned to disguise grief and act tough when she was broken. Shania learned survival in that home. She became tough, quiet, and determined. She only felt safe with music. She strengthened herself with every song she penned or sung. Soon, the world outside those chilly walls would see the voice she had fought to protect. Car crash that changed everything. Shania Twain's life altered in November 1987. She was 22 when a logging truck head-on killed her parents, Sharon and Jerry Twain, in Chapeau, Ontario. They drove to a job location early that morning. Shania was engulfed by the news. She lost her only stability with one call. Her parents died instantly, leaving Mark, Daryl, and Carrie, and without a caregiver. Instead of pursuing her aspirations, Shania had to stop. She took over the family overnight at 22. She was mother, sister, and provider. The obligation weighed more than the sadness. She opposed sibling separation and foster care. She worked any job she could find to pay rent and buy food to keep them together. She got her first major break as a vocalist at the Deerhust Resort in Huntsville, Ontario. Stage shows, live music, and entertainment were available at the resort. Shania found life and fresh beginnings. Her employment provided a consistent income, a roof, and a safe environment for her siblings. She performed for vacationers every night, singing renditions of famous songs and acquiring stage presence. She fed her siblings, assisted them with school, and attempted to provide them a regular existence throughout the day. CZ Twain developed at the resort work. She honored her stepfather by taking his surname. She changed her name to Shania, an Ojibwe phrase meaning, "I'm going." It was a rebirth, not just a stage name. She reinvented herself via tragedy. Every night she performed, she left behind the girl who grew up in fear and poverty and became a woman determined to make something of her sorrow. After several years at Deerhust, Shania chose to pursue her passion in 1991. She moved to Nashville, Tennessee, country music capital, with little money and high ambitions. First, life was hard. She cleaned houses and sang at little venues, sending money home whenever possible. No record execs seemed interested in her. Her music and rustic manner didn't suit them. Despite many rejections, she persisted. Her contract with Mercury Records came in 1993. It wasn't glamorous, she had little creative autonomy, and her debut record sold poorly. At least it started. Even though no one was paying attention, she had her foot in the door. A major event would transform country music. The 1993 meeting of Shania Twain and Robert John Mutt Lange felt like a turning point. She was an unknown singer trying to break in Nashville. Mutt, however, was a world-renowned rock producer who influenced Def Leppard, AC/DC, and Bryan Adams. He liked her voice after hearing her debut album. A professional call became more personal. They met in person, fell in love, and married in December 1993 after 6 months. Their relationship went beyond romance. It was fierce, inventive, and unstoppable. The Woman in Me, her second album, was started together. Mutt urged her to write her own songs and manage her music, which she hadn't done before. Shania resisted producers and record executives' attempts to fit her into a country genre in the studio. She wanted her music to be fresh and authentic. Nashville had never heard anything like it. The Woman in Me mixed pop and rock with country storytelling. Some considered it hazardous. Others considered it genius. It challenged and modified country music rules when released in 1995. The songs were confident, catchy, and bold. Shania's strong, compassionate voice spoke of independence, love, and tenacity. The combination of electric guitars, violin, and steel gave her song a unique intensity not found on the radio. Shania and Mutt's 1997 album Come On Over was a music landmark. Over 40 million copies sold globally, smashing female artist records. You're Still the One Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and from this moment on became generational anthems. She celebrated love, confidence, and self-worth with her characteristic strength and vulnerability on each song. Although successful, her marriage to Mutt was showing cracks. They worked well together, yet the intensity caused stress. Shania performed and gave her all to her music. Her nearly 2-year come-on overworld tour with 165 gigs in North America, Europe, and elsewhere was a hit. She proved her international popularity with Elton John and the Backstreet Boys guest performances on her $80 million tour. After the 1990s, Shania Twain was a force, not just a star. Even at her height of celebrity, life would test her in ways no one could imagine. Something darker was ahead. Her voice losing sickness. Shania Twain's life changed again in 2003. She got a tick while horseback riding in the country. It seemed minor at first, but weird symptoms appeared within weeks. She became dizzy and weak, occasionally blacking out for seconds. Her voice, which had carried her through every adversity, cracked and faded. Doctors couldn't explain it. She underwent countless testing and specialist consultations without results. She was diagnosed with Lyme disease, a tick-borne bacterial infection, years later. The sickness damaged her vocal cords and nervous system. Her vocal nerves misfired, causing dysphonia. A vocalist was devastated. Her voice seemed stuck, unable to deliver the tone she wanted. Sometimes speaking was hard. The stadium-filling singer failed to sing a note. Her voice sometimes broke mid-concert. She panicked on stage, afraid the crowd would notice. She persevered despite her tight, untrustworthy throat. She used cortisone shots to force her voice to work throughout tours. Behind the scenes, fans had no idea she was suffering. She remained the confident performer the crowd admired. Only her loved ones realized how much she suffered. Symptoms worsened over time. Dizziness, physical weakness, and weariness plagued her. Recording sessions proved difficult, and she feared she would never sing again. She worried about losing her voice beyond her health. She felt lost. Her getaway and manner of expressing what she had been through was music, but even that was fading. Still, Shania persisted. She took extensive gaps from performance to focus on her health, seeking therapy, rest, and treatments to recover control. She kept quiet about her sickness for years until she was ready to discuss. Fans didn't realize how hard it was to keep hope alive during those quiet years. Behind every popular song and public presence was a woman struggling for her voice. That war would eventually become personal, leading to her darkest and most heartbreaking chapter. Shania Twain's personal life collapsed in 2008. She discovered that her husband and producer, Robert John Mutt Lange, was cheating on her with Marie and Thibault, her close friend and assistant. The shock was instantaneous and deep. Shania later stated it hurt, like losing her parents again. Not merely a broken marriage. She lost trust in two people she accepted into her home and life. It was devastating emotionally. Shania suffered with despair and bad ideas. She isolated herself to feel safe. She spent much of this period in Switzerland, hiding. Protecting her son and getting through the day were her priorities. Music, once safe, felt heavy and distant. The split brought back childhood trauma and the loss of her parents, making recovery tougher. An unexpected turn occurred. Shania connected with Marie-Anne's ex-husband, Frederick Thibault, who understood the hurt most after the truth came out. They bond over betrayal and family protection. Eventually, friendship became love. It surprised many, but it offered Shania comfort and support when she needed it. With Frederick by her side, she slowly felt better. Shania married Frederick Thibault in January 2011. Ceremony symbolized more than a new chapter. Moving forward was a choice. Shania has talked about forgiveness, not to excuse what happened, but to release its weight. Forgiveness restored her life and focused on her son, health, and voice. The Why Not? docuseries brought her back to public life that year. With Shania, the series chronicled her struggle to overcome fear, understand Lyme disease's voice loss, and sing again. After years of silence, viewers saw her undergo vocal therapy, speak with experts, and perform again. It was raw and revealed a side of her admirers had never seen. Shania launched her autobiography in 2011. She wrote about her youth, poverty, marital violence, abuse, loss of parents, and husband's infidelity in the book. The writing was straightforward. She recounted her experiences and how she persevered. Many readers complimented her strength and candor about trauma. The public showed respect and empathy. The book transformed Shania from a celebrity to a relatable survivor. After a fresh marriage, a better mind, and a more open voice, Shania tried again. Next comes the struggle to reclaim her sound and perform again. Returning to her voice was long. Voice loss was a big deal for Shania Twain. Approximately 15 years. She acquired dysphonia, a tight, unsteady, and unreliable voice, when Lyme illness destroyed her vocal cord nerves. She felt unable to sing, something she had done since infancy. Daily conversation might be difficult. Her voice was her identity, therefore losing it hurt. She mourned like a part of herself was missing. To aid, doctors prescribed rest and treatment. Specialized trainers helped her muscles adapt again. But progress was gradual and anxiety persisted. She thought the familiar voice might never return. She spent extended periods of silence focused on her health and family, trying to accept that her career may be finished. She persisted in seeking solutions. She advanced significantly in 2018. Surgeons supported her vocal cords with Gore-Tex implants after an open throat operation. She sang and remained awake to help physicians fine-tune the placement. Though dangerous and difficult, it provided her an opportunity. Months of recovery and patience followed. She had to start singing again, note by note, breath by breath. The voice returned differently. Though deeper, rawer, and more detailed, it had fresh strength. It sounded like years of struggle and power. She accepted the adjustment. She made a new sound instead of chasing her old one. Molded by her life experiences, Shania boldly returned to recording before surgery. Her first studio album in 15 years, Now, arrived at #1 in 2017. The songs were straightforward. They discussed heartbreak, healing, and reclaiming oneself after life destroys you. Her voice conveyed weight and hope. She wrote it, sharing personal anguish and hard healing without hiding. The circle was complete. She returned to fans' favorite visuals, including leopard print, while changing her voice. Warm guitars, sturdy drumming, and unpolished vocals dominated the production. Imperfections told the tale. Listeners felt the scar's strength. Shania subsequently claimed she almost quit music. Years of silence, fear of failure, and pressure to return drove her to quit. She was halted by the need to express herself and the support of individuals who believed her voice, modified or not, mattered. She moved forward and sang as herself. Her return was difficult, but it gave her a fresh sound. A new goal. Next, we'll witness how a near-death battle strengthened that commitment. Death encounter. Shania Twain contracted COVID-19 in 2020, the first year of the epidemic. The infection impacted her badly because she has asthma, pneumonia. Each day, her lungs filled with fluid. Breathing became difficult. A terrifying sickness became a medical emergency. She was evacuated for expert care and given plasma therapy for days to stabilize. A flatline moment occurred. People around her fought to stop her. She then learned that doctors hid her imminent death. Each hour was spent keeping her alive and giving her body time to fight. Shania found it horrifying and life-changing. She recalls how hard it was to breathe, how fatigued she was, and how quiet the room was as terror seized control. After survival, she described a new thankfulness. Every breath felt miraculous. That brief statement encompassed her danger, comfort, and newfound knowledge. It took time to recover. Regaining strength and healing the lungs takes time. However, her creativity resurfaced as she improved. The death experience freed her thoughts. She remembered why she started making music, to express what she couldn't hold inside. She wrote again with more emphasis. She wanted to sing, record, and communicate without fear because life may change at any time. Shania returned to public life after the worst. She did interviews, appeared in films, and publicly discussed her sickness, her long battle with her voice, and her lessons with fresh confidence. She showed her dread, helplessness, and sluggish recuperation. She showed her determination. She stated, "I've forgiven everything, including my own voice for abandoning me," showing how deeply she had accepted her past losses and was ready to move forward. Her outlook improved after the pandemic. She prized every performance. She leaned into a deeper, more honest voice that fit her now. The song's meaning became obvious. Survival goes beyond physicality. And passionate and artistic work. She overcame disease, heartache, and silence. Now she was creating a future that recognized all of it. Honesty resonated with fans. Her voice was combative and her words cool. The woman was proud of who she had become, not seeking to be who she was before. Chapter made one thing clear. Shania Twain will stay. Soon after, She confirms what fans always felt in their hearts at 60. If you like this article and want more behind the fame stories, like, subscribe, and bell, so you never miss uploads.